This is your Daily 5 for Thursday, December 11th, 2025. There is a genre of video games that has enjoyed a lot of popularity for a little while now that is often termed roguelike or roguelite. And I don't know that there's any meaningful difference between those terms, but let's just go with roguelite because that's the description being used for the game I want to talk about today. These are not games that I typically enjoy. I have tried a few of these out, including the ones that are supposed to be the best ones that make even people who don't like these like them, and I've never really felt the desire to keep playing them. Certainly I understand what the appeal is, and if you don't know anything about them, these are typically, although there's variations on variations on variations now, but the idea is that whatever the game is, you're never playing it the same way twice. So let's say the idea is you go into an arena and you're supposed to eliminate 50 enemies. The first time you play, you might go in there and your shotgun may have a bonus on it that, let's say, puts acid damage on the enemies. But on a counterpoint, the enemies move twice as fast as they normally would. And then those variables change on your next run. And the idea is generally, that you're trying to beat your last best score, that you're trying to gain things to improve to make your next run easier. There are games that have a story that progresses. So again, it's a very malleable type of gameplay style. I think that's what appeals to a lot of people. And it also is intended to stave off boredom. It's to keep you from getting bored with doing the same thing all the time. It's sort of, more or less, infinite replayability. Of course, there's always a limit, but it feels that way, that you really just don't know what you're going to get into, and there's kind of an excitement in going into something, not really sure how that run is going to go, and not being able to just memorize a plan to attack anything. You're going to have to kind of you'll have to have some kind of innovation. You'll have to think of things and have some impulsive decisions that may or may not work out. So I understand what the appeal is. I've just never encountered one of these games that I really connected with, but I read about one that was announced that may be the change that makes me want to actually, well, I do want to play it, but might actually work for me as a game. And that is, there's a new entry in the Carmageddon series titled Carmageddon Rogue Shift, which is planned to come out in early 2026. Planned, no concrete date has been announced, of course, which means, it's going to get delayed. But this is a roguelite game based around the Carmageddon series, although it does feel, many people have said, although I don't think this is a criticism, that this feels a lot more Twisted Metal than Carmageddon. And I sort of get what they're saying in terms of there's a lot more reliance on weapons, but it's not like Carmageddon and Twisted Metal have had that big of a gulf between them to begin with. So I'm not as upset by that as some people seem to be. That's perfectly fine. And honestly, where's the new Twisted Metal? Yeah, the series, but where's the games? So something's got to be here, and I'm going to take one or the other, whatever you give me. If you blend them both like chocolate and peanut butter, all the better. So the idea is, you will select one of a number of cars. You'll have these car combat races. You'll still have, it appears, the challenges that came from the old games, like running over what are now zombies instead of pedestrians. Again, another change that I can't really make myself be angry about because who cares whether they're zombies or people? Yes, there's a juvenile crass humor to running over old ladies and walkers and splattering them across the screen, but really, who cares? It's the same basic idea, so whatever. And I do think this makes sense for a car combat game. And I immediately kind of in myself sense the appeal and the interest in this that has never been there for other games. And I can't really tell you why. Maybe it's because I remember playing the original Carmageddon, which is now almost 30 years old, which is depressing, and the Twisted Metal games. And so maybe it's because I grew up with car combat games that appeals to me more than something like, say, Hades or games like that, where that just wasn't something that I connected with as much. I don't know. But again, the car race thing just makes a lot of sense. Because that's kind of how I played Carmageddon. I'd spin it up, I'd play one map, and then I'd go do something else. I didn't spend a lot of time in it because there wasn't a storyline. The music was good. It seems like they're trying to do that Fear Factory style music again. And even though I'm not really a Fear Factory fan outside of these games, I do like the instrumental versions of their tracks. So it feels like they have a sense of what Carmageddon is, and they're trying to adapt it to a new play style. I don't have an issue with that. In fact, I find it quite interesting. And it does, again, seem to lend itself to the way I played these games to begin with. It wasn't a roguelite thing back then, but I would pick it up, play it different ways, put it down, and only play like a map or two, and that was it. So, assuming it comes out and performs well, this is a game I'm looking forward to, which is not something I've ever said before about a roguelite. So, we'll see. Later.